So I have a request. I am going to answer her request with a video. This is an example of a collage quilt that is in my bucket. I've actually already started it, but collage quilts are so much fun. It is a lot of artistry, and then when it comes to the quilting, you could keep it very basic. On this Laura Hine cover to her pattern, she used straight stitching, and it's a little bit random, the spacing, and I like that look. So you decide what you would like to do on your collage quilt or your fused applique project. So I'm going to design sew a quilt. I am going to start new. Do you have a work in progress? Do you want to replace it? Yes, I do. I'm going to erase it, and I'm going to reset the time. I would like to do a block, and I'm going to enter the rectangle, and I'm going to make this quilt. The quilt is actually 32 by 44. And I'm going to make the quilt 33 by 45. Enter. Continue. That brings up this rectangle. Now we're not going to actually stitch this, so I'm not going to move it and put it in the correct place. Besides, I have this beautiful quilt below that I was working on. So I'm going to say finished. We're going to set up and save this as a quilt. So you can do this sitting on the couch. So we are going to say finished. I want to add edit pattern. I'm going to add a pattern, and it's going to be a block pattern. Now, because I want to add a block pattern, you might be surprised when I go into my geometrics. I'm going to use this current block, and I'm going to my geometric catalog. We all have a geometric catalog in our Intelliquilter. I'm going to scroll till I get to the straight line, and I'm going to say continue. Intelliquilter brings it in the best way it would fit, but of course that's not the way we want to use it, is it? I'm going to touch rotation. I'm going to rotate that. Now, I'm pretty good with looking at things like this, but if I turn on my grid, I will be much better. Ooh, good day, good day. All right, so now I'm going to move this design up to the top of the quilt. I'm going to turn off the grid because that's a little too busy for my eyes. Now I have one straight line going all the way across the top of this quilt. I'm going to say finished. I'm going to go to repeat pattern. Select the pattern / blocks to repeat by touching one of their points. This one up here. And I'm going to say continue. It's asking me now to set up the repeat. So I don't know how many repeats I need, and I'm a very visual person. Let's go to the Y repeat. Now, I don't know for sure how dense this needs to be quilted, but I'm going to set this up as a 1 1/4, 1.25 spacing between the repeats. Enter. Now, as I go to the Y repeat and I start touching the plus, this creates all of the repeats that I want. And it actually turned out that I used 38. We're going to go to zoom off. We're going to touch true size and touch the quilt. That is the spacing. Now this is true size stitching. So that is the spacing that would be between the lines. If that was not pleasing to you, go to Y distance and you can increase it or decrease it. Now it's at 1 inch. 1 inch. Let's see what we've got when we zoom full. That isn't enough of a repeat to cover the whole quilt, so go back to Y and add some more. Pretty cool, right? Okay, now we are going to say finished. Now I want to show you what you would get if you chose a design that wasn't the straight lines. So right now I'm going to delete the patterns. I'm going to delete all of them. And I'm going to say continue. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. This time let's add a pantograph. Use current block. And it's called Wiggle. Continue. Now I'm going to change the row height, the pattern height, to 2 inches. Let's see what that looks like. Would you consider putting this across a collage quilt? I definitely would. Now I'm going to make the row height, pattern height smaller. 1.5, true size. Is that enough density for your quilt? Only you will know looking down at your real quilt. So I showed you how to use a block pattern, repeat it to travel down the quilt. I also showed you how to use a pantograph, row height, pattern height. How small can we go? That might be what you're looking for. You might be more comfortable with the irregular design instead of one that has just straight lines. And now I'm going to say finished. And accept. You want to commit to these transitions. You will not be able to change them later. Yes. All right, so I have this collage quilt set up as a pantograph, and I'm using a design that has a little more going on than the straight lines. I'm going to save the quilt. I'm going to save name the quilt, and I'm going to clear unsaved. I'm going to name this sample. Enter. It's been saved in the work in progress catalog, and I'm going to say continue, and I'm going to put it in class select. I like to save anything that I create for a customer as a class project to explain more in depth when we are in person. You can do this. It's fun. It's not scary. You don't have to do the zigzag that I did. I love this pattern though. I'm really thinking that would look beautiful on my bear quilt. So let me know if you have any questions. I'm Sheridan Carter, and I'm an Intelliquilter representative and instructor. Thanks for joining me. Let me know if you enjoyed this. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe. Visit us often. My travel schedule for 2023 is being developed just this week. So if you live in an area where you do not have an Intelliquilter instructor, we do travel, and we love meeting you where you are.